We're going to be doing my signature look today, but I wanted to also show you something that is always part of my routine on a daily basis. So I alternate with different treatments before I actually do my makeup, but this has been a game changer for my whole jawline area. A lot of people have told me recently that they've noticed that this area here is a lot slimmer. It's because of this. I've been using this for a while. You might have remembered this from another video I did a while back just to show you, but since then I've been using it. So I do the jowls treatment. This has been a game changer. I can't even begin to tell you. I'm going to be doing what I always do, which is this treatment first and then I move on to my makeup. So first things first, I've got a clean face. I'm going to add this gel. The one that I use is the golden gel, and that basically, they have different gels that do different things, but this is basically, oh, I'm going to do it on the back of my hand actually. Just trying not to be messy. Usually I just put it on with my fingers, but I don't want to have to get up out of my seat. So I just get a brush and then I brush this gel all over, ooh, nearly dropped it there, all over the gel area, like basically the lower half of my face. So every day I've been doing this one probably for about 2 weeks now nearly, and I'm gonna probably in a couple of days change it up because I feel like I've got the results that I want from this, and then maybe in like a month or so I'll start this treatment again for 2 weeks. Got the complex on. Next I get the app on my phone, I turn this on, it flashes, buzzes, makes a noise, start treatment, it sends it over to this. Now it's sent. And then basically you watch the video, which has someone that basically does it all at the same time as you. I think she's the founder of it, but I don't really pay attention to what she's saying. I did at the beginning. I just do as she's doing. Basically it helps me to make sure that I'm not getting the speed wrong. And on some days I have kind of like, you know, done it a bit faster. Basically you put it up here, you can see what I'm doing, I'm watching her screen, and then it buzzes, and then do it again. You'll see everything she's doing. When it buzzes, you know that you've done it enough, that you can move over to the next bit. I can't begin to tell you how much of a difference this has made. I have had so many people telling me that my lower face looks so thin, and my sister has just been in town. Where are we going now? And she said to me she can't believe how slim my lower face is. My husband has seen it. So we're gonna go over to the next side, I think. Yeah. I was like initially thinking, what am I doing that's giving this kind of result that people are telling me? And I'm like, this is it. I forgot about it. And I was like, whoa, this is actually what I'm doing. So yeah, let me go through this very quickly. It literally takes a few minutes. By the way, it's only 3 minutes long. It buzzes and you're done. So I just get rid of what I'm watching on my phone because that's done, and then wipe it all down. I just wipe over the actual device first and then my face. All I do is take this off. There you go. It's all off. You can either wash your face now or you can use like a cotton pad and just use a micellar water. The link for that is in my description. Don't forget to grab yours. Let's put my earrings back in. You can use the code that's on the screen. Get yourself a little discount, get the link in the description, and yeah, grab yours, because honestly, this is amazing. And by the way, there are all different treatments on the app that you have on your phone. So once you've got this, that's it. You don't need to go to clinics and get all these treatments done. It's cheaper, you save money, and you save time as well. You've got things on there like 30-day treatment for lifted all over facelift. You've got like Botox treatment, so it will give you a brow lift, everything. So check it out, because honestly, even if you research as I'm telling you, you will hear about all the results. It genuinely works. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's what I do on a daily basis. Moving on to the makeup look today. I'm just gonna add my MAC Hyper Real Serumizer eye treatment. Put some moisturizer on. And we are ready to go. Okay, so first thing I wanna do is add a little bit of primer. My daily primer most of the time is my Milk Hydro Grip, so I do love this. I just feel like while I'm waiting for my moisturizer to dry off a little bit before I apply this, I'm just gonna explain why. I do feel like, because I like to set my makeup matte so it stays all day, I like that radiant look to come through quite soon. So what I feel this primer does is it helps me to actually get that nice look. So it won't, like for example, I don't want to use a matte mattifying primer and then mattify my face with powder the way that I do like to, which is press it on to ensure that it does actually last all day, because I feel like everything looks too matte and cakey then. So I like to use a primer which is actually a hydrating, I'm not going to say glowy because I don't think it gives you a glowy look, but I feel like it stops your, it just looks more radiant. So that's why I like to use this primer in particular. So I just smooth that over the cheeks and then the forehead. I don't put a whole load on, so don't go crazy. Right, next up, I actually apply my foundation. And I know some of you might say, yeah, but don't you contour, like, don't you underpaint? I do that a lot, but to be honest, on a day-to-day basis, I don't underpaint all the time. I do it when I know that, say, for example, I need to do my makeup early and I know I'm gonna be back late and I need it to look impeccable all day. It isn't that this way that I'm doing today won't look impeccable. It just means that it gives me a different kind of finish and I know that I don't need my makeup on all day, you know? So it's just a few things that I'm doing today, but I still want it to look good. And I want that kind of radiant finish to come through quick. Well, there is a foundation that I was using for quite a while and now I've transitioned to this because it is amazing. This is the Patrick Tar foundation. It's very new. It's the Major Skin Hydra Luxe Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation. My shade is 15 Golden Neutral. Okay, so I put this on the back of my hand like this. I get my BK Beauty 106 brush. I buff this into the brush. I then buff this onto my skin. This foundation is absolutely amazing. Like, can you just see immediately what this has done to my skin? It's like it just brings life to my skin. It's just so good. Look at it. I mean, I was on a sunbed well, not on a sunbed. I was on a sunbed, but I was outside. And I got a tan, which isn't actually as much as I wanted it to be, but it's not actually that hot at the moment in Dubai. But this is the kind of tan I want. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like it's like much darker than my skin. It's just like such a golden, but not overly golden and warm look. But this foundation is great and I love this. So I basically press this in. I'm really kind of bouncing this over my skin everywhere apart from my eyelids. There you go. Look at that luminosity. It is pretty amazing. I do love this foundation. So I buff it in like that. Then what I do is I get my concealers. Now, my concealers, sometimes I alternate between Tarte Shape Tape and the Too Faced Born This Way multitasking concealer. Reason being is because on some days I feel like my dark circles are pretty bad and I just need that extra helping hand, which is the Tarte Shape Tape. On some days I feel like it's actually not that bad today, so I use the Too Faced Born This Way. I think today I'm going to use a Too Faced Born This Way because I don't think it's like kind of horrendous today. So I'm going to use my concealer in Natural Beige. I put this on the back of my hand like so. I get my sponge. I then press this into the concealer. I basically do exactly what I did with the foundation and the brush. I'm really buffing this into the sponge before I buff it into my skin. I then buff it over the eyelids on both sides. I do both sides immediately, like this and then like that, because I feel like I get an even amount then rather than doing one eyelid first and then doing the other one. I then get my powder puff, dip it into my Huda Beauty Easy Bake, go over my eyelids. Just get your eyelids done. This is what I like to do first. And then you get your brush and you just dust it off like that. See, now that that is done, I feel like I can actually focus on the rest of the face. Like, I feel like I can just get on with it and not have to worry about anything there creasing. Next up, what I do is I get my concealer again and my sponge. I buff this into the sponge again. And then we're gonna go onto the under eye area. Just the under eye area. We don't really need to apply any concealer anywhere else. See how that's like giving you nice coverage there? Now it is obviously a bit lighter than my foundation, so I'll show you what I do. But I do like that brightness, but not this bright. So I'm gonna show you how I tame that. So same thing, you buff it into the sponge and then you buff it into the under eye area. You can add whatever's on this sponge to like other areas. Sometimes if I feel like I need a bit of brightness in other areas, and I kind of like just take the sponge over other areas. So now that that's done, I do want to kind of tone down the brightness on the under eyes, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to show you why. So next up, I'm going to get a cream blush, and the one that I'm currently loving is the MAC Skin Finish Creamy Blush in Ginger Please. I absolutely love this. It's so nice. I'm going to get my Hourglass 15 brush. What I do here is I just go into this cream blush like so. I dab this onto a tissue before I actually put it onto my skin, and then I add the blush. Now you can go a little bit extra with this. I'm going to explain why in a sec. You'll understand what I mean. There you go. Go a little bit extra. It's absolutely fine, because I'm going to show you what I do here, which is like kind of sandwiching it in. And it is just so nice because you end up with this really nice diffused blush look. It's like when you want that blush color, but you don't actually, like you want blush there, but you're also putting eye makeup on and you don't want it to be too much. So this is a really great way to do that. Okay, so now, remember I said to you that the under eyes are a little bit too bright for me. I'm gonna get a little bit more of my foundation, just put a tiny bit on the back of my hand there. I'm gonna get my sponge, I'm gonna buff this foundation into my sponge, and then we're going to go over where we've applied the concealer. You end up going over the blush area as well. It's just natural, you're just going to end up doing that, and that's what really diffuses the blush. So same thing here. There you go. Okay, I'm happy with that now. Now I want to kind of like set everything, and just, I don't want it as shiny as what it is. So what we're going to do first is just get rid of any creasing which is on the under eye area. We're just kind of lifting off any of the product that's kind of sitting into the lines with the tip of the sponge. I've got my puff, pressing it into the powder. Let's do the under eyes first. Next up, you want to kind of like press onto any areas that you feel you really don't want that shine coming through. And I usually do this on the sides here. I really don't like it coming through on my cheeks here, like right at the front. And I like my nose and the middle bit here of my forehead to be pretty kind of matte. What I do now is I get my Real Techniques brush. I dust the powder off from the under eyes first. There you go. I then get another brush, usually either my Hourglass Veil brush or my Makeup by Mario F2 brush. I then dust off the powder. Now I do add a little bit just on the cheeks because I didn't actually press any powder on there, and I just kind of dust it over so that that will look kind of nice and radiant later and not super matte. There you go. What are you feeling about this foundation? Like, I love it. I really love this foundation. It just looks so good when you apply it. You're like, this is like delicious. Okay, let me just clean over my brows because I've just got a whole load of foundation and stuff on it. Now, what I do next is I use my Urban Decay Slick Day Brow, and I basically paint this over my brow here. Brush up diagonally. That's it, not straight up. And then before I like press it down with my fingers, I actually go over and do the other one because I don't want to press it immediately. You kind of need it to set just a very little bit before you actually flatten it. Okay, so press, press, press. There you go, done. Now, while that is drying, because obviously we want to like add our brow pencil and everything, we do want to do the cheekbones very quickly. A couple of different things I've been using recently, and I'm really loving this. So first off, let me get my Hourglass Veil brush, and I'm using the smaller side. This is my Fenty Sunstalker in Islanding. And I am basically going into this and then just sculpting my cheekbones a little bit. Just there. I just go from the top of the ear and work towards the upper lip, but I never really go all the way through. So I just kind of like fade it off in the middle. I then take this into the hairline here. This just gives me a little bit of a lift. Go along the hairline there. And then underneath the jawline there. So kind of one application I feel like does, you know, one dip into the bronze, like this powder does actually go a long way. So I don't feel like I really have to go in and add more. I usually know that that's kind of like enough for me to be able to get the look that I want. Then the last way that I use this specific powder is to just sculpt my nose very quickly. The way that I do that is I use my Fenty 200 brush. I dip in it, dip on a tissue, which is sitting here on my desk. I then hold it to the side like this, but I'm only actually using this. So I'm not using the whole side of it. And then I just basically try and keep my hand still, and I'm only moving it with my fingers. And I basically go up and down on the side of the bridge of the nose. And I kind of do it here, but then I gradually bring it down, look, to the side, so that I'm not left with this random kind of like just this one line. It kind of fades. It's like a transition. Not transition, sorry. It's like a gradient finish to it. There you go. Take a little bit more. Do a little V to just kind of make my, I don't know why I'm doing this, the tip of my nose look a little bit smaller. That's actually all I do with that. And I use that bronzer, I know it's called a bronzer, but I use that to sculpt. Then I have a bronzer which I use to bronze, right? And obviously if I'm kind of like tanned to the point that I love, which is quite tanned, then I don't really do this part, but I do love this. So I use the smaller side again, and I go into this, which is my Guerlain Terracotta, the bronzing powder, and I basically go into here, this, and I basically go kind of above where I've sculpted, and I just feel like it gives me a really nice bronze finish to my face, especially kind of like mixed in with the blush that I had on. Like layering all this is honestly a dream. It looks amazing. It just makes me look so healthy and like freshly, like I've just come back from on holiday, you know? And I love it. So this is something that I've been doing recently and I love it. And I just go over my forehead to just kind of add a bit more of that sun-kissed look. And I focus mainly on the cheeks and the forehead, and see how that just warms up my face, but in a really nice sun-kissed way. Okay, let's get these brows done so we can actually move on to a really exciting part, which is the eyes. Okay, so I have my Benefit Mighty Fine Brow Pen in number 4. And what I do here is I hold it like this so that I can really get those kind of hair strokes. I only do it from the bottom part of my brow, by the way, because that's where I lack hair. So I just kind of like do little strokes. That's enough there. So it's very quick, that part. And then I do the same here. From the bottom part. I then get my Anastasia brow pen in medium brown. And this is where I'm going to be a bit more precise with the hairs. And I go from the bottom part and I just draw the hairs in. See how that's just given it a bit more precision? Okay, so now I need to make the other one look like this, and this is always the harder one. Okay, so the pen is done because there is kind of like only so much that I can do with the pen when I have such sparse brows on the underside. So then what I do is I get a pencil and really kind of, I feel like I've got so much experience in this because over the years, my brows haven't really changed. I've tried everything for them to grow on the areas that they seem to be pretty kind of sparse, and it just doesn't work. Like everything, brow serums, you name it. I do feel like the only one that worked a little bit out of everything I've used was actually the Swede Beauty brow serum, but it's not enough for me to feel like, okay, wow, my brows are like great now. Do you know what I mean? Like I've still got that sparseness, they're just a little better, which is still something, I guess, right? So because of that, I can't just stick to one texture, because when you are working with kind of makeup to give the illusion of something, it really is sometimes about using different textures in combination with one another to get the desired result and for it to be the best possible illusion. And the illusion with your brows when you have when you have sparse brows, I've got the word there, is that you can't have it looking too shiny. And the fact is let me make it really easy to understand. There's sections which are a little bit bold in comparison to the areas which have hair, right? So those areas can end up looking more shiny when you use a pen. So imagine you're using a felt pen that doesn't really dry matte. In all honesty, no, like they should really tell you, they should actually do some kind of brow pen that dries fully matte, but because it's on this smooth surface, it's always going to look a little bit shiny when you move around. And when it looks shiny, that's when you can tell that there's no actual real hair there, right? Because there's no depth. So by using a brow pencil at the end on the areas which you are quite sparse, that's going to help to mattify it and just add a little bit more depth to it. So I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury brow sheet. This is in black brown. And I am just going to draw little hair strokes on the areas that I know I am pretty sparse. I try not to do this near the front of the brow that much because otherwise it's just going to look really dark. There you go, and we're done. See how that just doesn't look as shiny anymore? So I'm gonna use this. This is really quick, but it's really easy to do, and it's effective. So this is the new Charlotte Tilbury Charlotte's palette of beautifying eye trends. This is actually Sensual Sunset, and this is number 3, which is matte silk that I'm gonna be using. So I'm gonna get my BK Beauty 206 brush. I'm gonna go into that, dab it on a tissue, and I am just going to go over my eyelid. And I'm just lightly dusting over and then dragging up here. That's literally all I'm doing. It's super quick. See how that's just warmed up the eye without it looking like orangey or too bronze or too dark? This is actually my Fenty 220 brush. I'm going into number 6, which is matte silk, using the tip. Press it into the palm of my hand to take the excess off. I then go into my lash line, but just at the end. And then lift up here, and that's it. I'm literally just doing the end, that's it. It's really important that you do dab this on a tissue before you actually go into the lash line, because I feel like otherwise it can be a bit strong. Use your finger to drag out if you want. It really is about getting a really subtle finish there. You don't want it to look too dark. You can if you want, but honestly, you only need a small amount. You can actually connect it to the lower lash line if you want. We're gonna curl the lashes. So we're gonna add some mascara. This is my Hourglass Unlocked mascara. It's such a quick, easy, simple eye look. Like, you don't always have to be so afraid of powder eyeshadow palettes. I think we also do associate powder eyeshadow palettes with like being quite heavy, but it's really about the technique. That is literally it. It's so simple, right? Then I line my lips with my Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Iconic Nude. Recently, I've been really loving the look of not really lining my lips as much. So I do it in a very, very subtle way. And I also don't overline. Like, I don't know if that looks like a lot on camera, but to me it doesn't look like so much. And I quite like it in pictures because it doesn't look like you've just got a whole load of lip liner there. Next, I add this, and this is something I love and I've loved it for so long. This is the Rare Beauty Lip Souffle in Brave. I add a little bit to the lower lip and the upper lip. I use my finger, smooth it over. And that is it. That is literally a very quick signature look that I do. I don't know, I'm really feeling that less is more on the lips lately. I don't usually wear bold colors on the lips anyway, but I do feel like my lip line is usually a little bit kind of done in a way to plump my lips a little bit. And I'm not feeling the plump lips at the moment. So I'm really trying to just keep them as basic and bare as possible, but still by adding some color in there so it doesn't look so kind of like boring and flat. You can also add a pop of color or like a little sparkle by using the glittery shades there, and it looks really good if you add it to the center of your upper lash line. So yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed this today. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button, like the video, all those things, because they actually make a huge difference to this channel. And everything is listed in my description. I don't want you to forget about the fact that we have the Beauty Breakfast Club, which is a massive beauty community that we're growing. Loads of newsletters on there, and we get to chat as well. Different types of subscription available. One is free access to some of the posts, the other is paid, literally just going to cost you around a latte a month, and it gives you access to the entire site, plus a group where we can chat. I hope you've enjoyed this today. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget everything's listed in the description, and don't forget to get your ZIIP. This stuff is amazing. It's so good. I can't wait for you guys to actually try it. So there you go. This is my signature look at the moment, and I hope you're going to recreate it for yourself.